Hi guys, my name is Sandy. I'm a homeschooling mom to two boys. My senior is about to graduate this year, and today I'm going to be talking about my 10th grader and what he uses for chemistry. I'm going to be going over the Masterbooks Chemistry that he's using this year. There's two components that you can buy for it, and there's a third component that you don't have to get for it. It's the videos, but we did buy the videos. So the first part is the teacher guide, and the other part is the textbook for the students. Let me show you guys the teacher guide first. There's a table of contents, course description, how to use the teacher guide. The lessons are about 20 to 30 minutes a day for us, and all the videos on the Masterbooks Academy are about 10 to 15 minutes, and this is a 180-day curriculum. There is a grading sheet at the very beginning of it, which we have not used. And then this is the suggested daily schedule. So we are currently on day 109 right now, and it's the end of February. So this is the schedule that they recommend you follow, but you don't have to if it doesn't work for your homeschool. The first day is usually read from your chapter and then do a worksheet. And then the second day of the week is usually to focus on vocabulary words. The next day is just to review and complete the quiz. Then there's a laboratory day. And then there's a second laboratory day, and then the lab write-up. We don't need to do 2 laboratory days, so we've only been doing the first one and the lab write-up in the same day. And then the next week, they've got read more pages, do the worksheet the first day. The second day would be focused on vocabulary, and then a quiz. Then there's 2 laboratory days. And then there are weeks mixed in there where they just review lessons and quizzes that they've taken. And then they take an exam at the end of the week. And the next part after the schedule in the book would be the worksheets. Here's an example worksheet. And they all rip out very easily. And then after that's always the lab for that week. And I love these lab write-ups. It makes it so much easier for my son. And here's more of the lab write-up. Here's another worksheet. And generally, we haven't done worksheets in the past, but these are so simple that he's been doing it every single week. Next is the lab write-up. And then after all of the worksheets and the lab reports, it's the quizzes, which are weekly. There's always a lot of matching. So here's another quiz, more matching. There's a third one, and then after that, there are exams. And here's what an exam would look like. We have been doing the quizzes, but we have not done the exams this year. Here's another exam. See, the exams are a few pages long, and the quizzes are basically 1 page. And I think if my son were to be going into a science field in college, he would probably do the exams, but he's not planning on that currently. And the next section is the answer key. I find it very easy to navigate. And there's even a section for the lab write-ups. Here's the worksheet, and then the lab write-ups. That way, if they're not sure how to answer a question on a lab, it's in here also. That's pretty much it for the teacher guide. And here is the textbook. Table of contents. And each week in the textbook is set up the same way. There's vocabulary at the very beginning, and then there's a section for them to read. And then after that, it's the lab. And the entire lab is in here, so they don't need to get the videos for the lab if they don't want to. They could just do the lab on their own. And here's another week. This is farther in the year. It's acids and bases. Here's the objectives. And then the reading. See, there's not too much reading, so it's not overwhelming. And you can see this chapter has some equations for them to learn. I really like the diagrams throughout it. And each chapter has maybe 6 pages or so to read, some less, some more. And then right after that is the lab. There's required materials, the purpose and the procedure. And there would be a section in the lab write-up page in the teacher guide for them to fill this out, so they wouldn't need to do it right in the book. This is the rest of the lab. Then at the very back of the textbook, there is a glossary that has vocabulary words, but we found this a little bit hard to navigate. Like, it is in alphabetical order, but a lot of the vocabulary words in the worksheets were not in here. The third component would be the master's class. You would purchase this online. There is an additional amount. I highly recommend you purchase it. We purchased it because all the labs were online, and I'm just in a stage in our homeschool right now where I don't want to do every single lab every week. And this made things so much easier, and I'm so thankful that I spent the extra money and got it. There are 2 videos for each week. This would be the first video. This is day 106. And you can see it is about 6 minutes long. I'll show it to you really quick, just a few seconds.
Day 106, and today you're just graduating a little bit further. We've learned about ionic bonds, metal to non-metal. We've learned about covalent bonds, where we have non-metal and non-metal coming together. Now today, the scriptures tell us. You know, he's puzzled because he looks up at the man and he says, pavement?
So that's an example of one of the weekly videos. It's pretty much the exact same that's in the books for that chapter, so you could just read the chapter and not watch the video, but we do both. And this has a little bit more input on top of what the chapter talks about, but you absolutely do not need it. So here is a lab video.
A piece of zinc. Now you're going to be learning about the oxidization process here today. And so procedure, on page 181, it tells us to do this. Observe the oxidization and reduction reactions. Take a couple of iron nails and rub them with a piece of sand.
I really like how these videos explain exactly what the procedure is. So if you're unsure, if your student is unsure how to do a lab, this further explains it. And then they go ahead and do the lab for you. And he explains how to answer all the questions for your write-up for the lab.
And maybe they didn't call them electrons and they didn't understand how it works today. Maybe they understood things that we didn't, because we see that they were able to do things that are far beyond our technologies today. So nonetheless, because they did electroplating, we know they had some.
My final thoughts on this curriculum: it's working great for my son right now. I do not recommend this if your child's going into a STEM field in college. I don't think it's thorough enough for them. I feel like the chapters don't have a whole lot of reading them, and it's probably lacking a few things if your child's really, really into chemistry. This is working great for us this year, and I don't regret my decision to get it at all. So where we are in our homeschool right now, 9th year homeschooling, we have done so many labs over the years and done so many hands-on projects that for chemistry I wanted just a simple, easy year where we had the option of watching the videos if we wanted to. And for this son who's not going into a STEM field, it's been just perfect for him. So I do recommend this, just not for a science-minded child. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Bye!